Benfica Podcast is one of the founding members of Benfica Independent. Benfica Independent is an independent platform made by fans for fans. And in it, you can find our podcast, along with many other podcasts, along with articles of opinion, video segments, and much, much more. We're also on patreon.com/Benfica Independent with exclusive contents for our patrons.
Hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este equipo. Sí, es un club que tiene una grandeza que no se comprende si no estás aquí dentro.
São de uma magia única, benfiquista, que só nós sentimos assim. Por muitos desgostos que possamos ter, valores mais altos se levantam. E o valor mais alto que se levanta em termos futebolísticos chama-se Benfica.
Quero o Benfica intimidar o adversário. Quero o manto sagrado entrar com vocês em qualquer estádio e assustá-los, pá! É isso que eu quero!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of the Benfica Podcast. How is everyone? Cristiano, how are you? Como é que estás, campeão?
Aside from migraines and all that nonsense, I'm thrilled, ecstatic, happy to tell that we're here.
You sound ecstatic.
Yeah, I know I do, right? It's been a long day. Ecstatic that we're here on the Benfica Podcast, talking about none less than o 38, pá. Finalmente, foda-se, estava a ver que não.
Gostou, mas foi, pá.
É, pá,
Gostou, mas foi.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening with you, campeão Dave?
What's going on, guys? Great to be back. This is we should be up. I feel like if we were recording this Saturday night or even Sunday morning, we'd be got more of a pep in our step here. Maybe we're still hungover from the weekend that passed and all the partying that's been going on, but this is this should be a happy podcast.
Yeah.
Positive vibes only. And I mean, if we can't get up for this podcast after winning a championship, then I don't know when else we are to get up. But yeah, good to be on, and shout out to the Freddies that are here. We already got some Freddies who
I should
are.
have interrupted you, Dave. I was gonna say, you know who's up for it? The Freddies are up for it.
Freddies are always up.
That's
to
right.
it.
The Freddies are up for it. The campeões. I'm not going to call them Freddies today. I'm going to call them campeões.
The Fredões.
Fredões, Mr. J, Diogo Reis, Nick Valadão, Flávio Ferreira, Manny Valadão, Taylor Aguiar, DJ Natural Fire, Justin Aragão, Cristiano Oliveira, Bruno Gil Rodrigues, Scarrow Boy, Mike Madeira. Campeões, welcome. Let us know if everything is coming through well, the sound and video. Episode 488 is what we're up to. The champion is back. And yes, we are. It was great to finally see the team pull it out after a few years without trophies. It was good to see the team see this one out. On tonight's podcast, we will briefly look at the Santa Clara game. I don't think there's a lot to talk about in terms of the Santa Clara game. And what we'll do is we'll do our end of season awards. So, revelation player,
MVP,
MVP, best midfielder, best defender, best attacker, and also the flop of the season. So Cristiano, Dave, and I will give you our season awards. Feel free to play along in the chat. It's a time to celebrate and a time to look back and recognize some of the guys that played an important part in this season in this team. We're not going to do the keep, sell, or loan segment this week. We will do that next week. I think it's a little bit too early to be saying sell this guy after the team has raised our spirits and made us very happy on Saturday, clinching the 38th. I watched some of the celebrations. I haven't watched all of them, but Cristiano, I know that you watched a little bit of it. What'd you think?
I might have watched less than you.
A little bit more than me.
No, probably less.
Probably less.
Probably
less than me.
Yeah, yeah. Because see, I have that ADHD in me. Like, we obviously got the links in the whole nine, and I could go check it out. But once it happened already, I have a hard time watching it again.
Yeah. What about you, Dave? You spent some time watching the celebrations?
Yeah, I was
back with the beer.
I was hooked on it. Shout out to Benfica, because they had it being played on their YouTube channel all Saturday evening here on this side of the world. So I was glued to the TV, and then when I had to go out and do some running rounds, was glued to my phone and watching it off my phone. And this is a time, like I said, this is a time to be proud and to be happy. It's been 3-4 years since the last one, so we have to enjoy ourselves. We have to just enjoy the festivities and all the hoopla that go with it. And the only thing that I wish was that I was there. That I had a little bit of envy of not being there and partying with everybody there, but it was a great atmosphere and great party Saturday night.
No, for sure, and there's people that will tell you that the party that was set up is somewhat plastic because it's set up, it's not spontaneous. But look, to me, a party's a party, and to be able to see all those people at the Marquês waiting for the team, and even the team bus as it's coming down the street, and there's people just walking alongside the bus and saluting the team. I thought that was great. But the one scene that really impressed me is when the bus is coming out of the stadium to go through the Marquês, and people are just waiting there with tons of pyro, and it was really, to me, it was the highlight of the celebration. I thought was that moment, because I think that it was not planned out in terms of the organization and the police, and it was something that was spontaneous by the fans. But look, the Marquês at this point, I think you're gonna have to expect that there's gonna be barriers, there's gonna be police, there's gonna be security checkpoints, all of that jazz. But look, it's always great scenes to see the biggest club in Europe celebrate, and also seeing the scenes around the world, Newark, Boston, Cabo Verde, Portugal, England, you name it. You name whatever country Portuguese are in. I'm sure there was a Benfiquista celebrating somewhere. But yeah, so happy that we got that out of the way, man. And I'm sure you guys are too. But let's go through this Santa Clara game real quick. Vlaco Dimos was in goal. Ba, Otamendi, Morato, and Grimaldo. Tino and Neves. João Mário. Rafa, Auschnes, and Ramos. Neres did not start. He did come in the second half, and Benfica came out hungry. Benfica knew that they had to score a goal as soon as possible. In the 7th minute, Ramos, off of an assist from Ba, got on the scoreboard, and it was the first shot on goal by Benfica and the first goal. So quite efficient there. And I think then after that, on the 28th minute, 2-0 by Rafa on an assist from João Mário. At a time period where Benfica was kind of just managing the game, weren't really, didn't have a sense of urgency to score another goal, and they caught Santa Clara on a counter off of a corner kick from Santa Clara. It was cleared out, and then Rafa, João Mário, and I forget who the other player, Gonçalo Ramos, executed a perfect counter attack. That it wasn't more perfect because the final shot was a rebound off of a player, was a deflection of a player, and they made it into goal. But hey, a goal is a goal. And I think at that moment, 2-0. Cristiano, did you think that it was done?
I thought it was done before kickoff.
I did too.
I mean, as I told you and a couple of other people prior to the game, if Benfica weren't able to win this game. I mean, we had no business being champions. But credit to them. They did what they had to do. It's exactly what we called for. Get control of the game, get an early goal, get a couple of goals before halftime, and then start the celebration. So credit to the boys, credit to Roger Schmidt. And it was just a fantastic day, man. It was one of those days that a lot of Benfica's are not soon going to forget.
Yeah, that's for sure. What about you, Dave? Felt that was in the bag. I mean, Santa Clara, nothing to play for. They just came for the ride, just to finish out the season, play one last game. I didn't think they were all that threatening. They soaked up a little bit of the pressure. They tried to press Benfica high in the beginning, but they didn't work. But did you think that we were going to get any trouble from Santa Clara, especially with the red card at the Dragão 2 minutes in?
Well, that I didn't even bother watching that game. But as soon as Ramos scores his goal in the 7th minute, I said, let me see what's going on in that game. And then I see Teremi's already got a goal and a red card in the 2nd minute. I said, that's all we need to know about what's going to happen in that game. But I'm glad Benfica took care of business where we didn't have to keep an eye on that other game, because as long as we'd handled our business, it didn't matter if they scored 5, 10, 15, 50 goals. I couldn't care less what they were doing in that other match. So I'm just glad that we got the early goal to settle everybody's nerves down, and then we could turn into a party atmosphere much quicker, rather than this game went into the 78th or 80th minute still tied up. Then who knows what could have happened at that point.
Yeah, and we had the example of Dortmund earlier in the day also, that they had everything in their destiny in their hands, their destiny in their hands, and weren't able to close it out. So I don't know. Whenever you see something like that, you always think of the worst. But I was confident that Benfica was going to be able to see this out. 2-0 into the locker room, left the team in a very good place. 60th minute, 3-0, a clear penalty that Grimaldo executed. And then I think we were well on our way there. I think that the team was waiting for the clock to count down and the game to be over so they could celebrate. There was a little bit of lack of focus towards the end of the game. And, I think that the players feel that's in a bag. The stadium feels that's in a bag. The crowd is with the players. And I think that maybe the regular focus wouldn't be there. But look, Benfica did what they had to do and clinched the 38, and it was important for Benfica to clinch that 38, especially after the first half of the season that they had was very good. Cristiano, any thoughts on this game? Or no? Or you already gave me all your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I said what I needed to say before. I mean, nothing else to
Did
add.
you guys have any issues with Grimaldo taking the penalty instead of Ramos or João Mario?
No, I think that there was whistles in the stadium, from what I could hear. Maybe because the fans wanted Gonçalo Ramos to take it because he was still in the running for the best scorer, even though the Taremi had already added one to his tally. Maybe that's where the whistles came from. I don't think the whistles were directed at Ramos.
You're too nice. You're too nice.
You think so? What is your theory?
I think it was mixed. I think it was just, and to answer your question directly, yeah, I was upset that Ramos initially didn't take it, but then you start to look back and think about how many PKs he's taken throughout the years and throughout the season, I should say, and it just hit me. Maybe it's just a guy that's not comfortable taking penalties because he's not taking any. I don't believe he has 19 goals, whatever, coming into this game, 18, 19, and 0 via PK. So I just don't think it's a part of his game that he's very comfortable with. So once I realized that, okay, get it. And then I do think that Benfica wanted to send Grimaldo off, with the pat on the back, getting the goal last game, be appreciative for what he did with this club for 7.5 years. But unlike you, I do think that some of the whistles might have been towards Gonçalo Ramos not taking it. But at the end of the day, I do think it was some people showing their displeasure for a guy not re-signing with this club.
Right. That could be that. You're saying I'm too nice, and you're
you're too nice because Because you all know I think it's because of no. I mean, let's be frank.
No, I mean, I don't.
As,
In the celebrations, he didn't get whistled.
Was he even there though?
He was there.
I didn't watch
The celebrations.
In the stadium, he was there, but was he on the stage?
Like yeah, he was on the stage.
Marques?
Yeah, he was on it.
He had a speech. I saw something where he had the microphone in his hand.
Yeah, and I thought that for all the shenanigans that Grimaldo has put us throughout this Benfica career, especially with the attitude that he's had towards fans, I thought he had a genuine emotional moment after he scored and he took off his jersey.
Crocodile
and I don't know
tears, the crocodile tears, Alfredo. Come on, man.
I don't know.
Look, Alfredo,
to me, they look. To me, they looked real. Sorry.
That's something that maybe a few years down the line, I'll look at and reminisce and like, oh man, maybe I was unfair. But right now, I'm just going to go for man, whole ass, man. Your tears don't mean nothing to me. Come back and see me in a little while. Right now, bro, to me, Dave, come on. I think you agree with me, Dave. Those are crocodiles.
I'm on that same boat. I think Chris, you and I are the minority. I think everyone's giving Grimaldo his praise, and there's going to be a time for that, but I'm not willing to give his praise. Like, okay, thank you for your service. We won the championship. That all that matters, but there was a lot of Grimaldo that left a sour taste in my mouth. So I'm not going to be sad that he's not here next season. I'm glad it'll force the club to actually spend some money in that position, which they haven't done since he's been around. And I think he got his moment with the PK, and I think if Bod didn't go out with an injury, I wonder if Roger takes Grimaldo off and puts in Ristich so he can have a little moment that way too. But it is what it is with Grimaldo. The story's already been written with him, and he had his farewell penalty, got whatever he needed to get off his chest, and we move on. I'm not gonna follow him once he leaves the club, and I'm not going to shed a tear that he's not here next season either.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it seems like a genuine emotional moment. Now, whether there were crocodile tears or not, to me, it just seemed. I think it's hard.
You're a sucker for tears. Remember, you got in your feelings when Darwin cried after scoring.
Dave, I think you're right.
You're a sucker for the tears.
I think you're right. I'm a very emotional. Heartstrings type of guy. I don't know. It's just it's when you're connected to the club and you basically grew up at this club, right? And you spend all of your football career you've played at this club, regardless of being a young career or not. So that there has to be an emotional attachment. Could have been crocodile tears. They could have been crocodile tears, but I would like to think that after 7.5 years or 8 years, whatever it was, that there's an emotional attachment and there's an emotional moment that goes through a player's head. I don't know, but maybe that's just me.
What about that whole emotional attachment stuff? Had Benfica been the ones pushing him out the door? It's so emotional. You love us so much, you chose to leave us. I mean, hold on, come on, man, stop.
And that it was announced before the end of the season too. Do you think he had a little bit to play in that too, that it got announced? Because if he really wanted to, he could have kept that under wraps. Could he not?
No, I don't think so. I just think that Leverkusen jumped the boat, the whistle, whatever you want to call it, and they went ahead and announced it. I don't think Grimaldo wanted any part of this because he wanted to get the love and he wanted to get the attention. And to me, it's like, again, had Benfica been the ones telling him, look, man, our road together has come to an end. It's a dead end up ahead. You have to forge your own, road now, that you have to do. Feel something along those lines. Yeah, I understand a player being emotional. Obviously, he'll always be part of me. I'm never. Come on, dude. The dude decided to leave on his own will. That's it. End of story. He didn't go to a Liverpool, a Man United, a Bayern Munich. You know what I mean? He went to Bayer Leverkusen. It was about. He took the best financial offer probably on the table. And we'll see what happens. Look, I understand his part of it when the reasoning is, he wants to go play in a league that's got packed stadiums, the atmosphere. I get that. Just be honest about it. Don't come over here. You chose to leave. Nobody forced you out the door.
I mean, it would suck if Xavi Alonso left, because apparently that was one of the big reasons why he went there.
Well, there's a huge potential, a huge move for Carlo Ancelotti taking over the Brazilian national team, which then would open up the Real Madrid manager position. And they like him a lot, but obviously they don't think he has the experience yet. But hey, man, you never know, right? Pirlo got a job. There's a lot of guys that got jobs without experience. So you know, but it would be a kick in the gut though if you went there because of Xavi Alonso, and then all of a sudden.
But I mean, once that final whistle blew, that's it. Grimaldo now belongs elsewhere. I was telling this to Dave: when players leave Benfica, I could care less what happens to them.
I don't root against them. It's not. It's like the care less, Alfred. I'm like you, but when you and I say I could care less, it sounds rude, right? It's not okay. I'm not here hoping the guy goes and breaks a leg or his career. No. But it's like if I happen to be watching, like, okay, yeah, cool, he scored a goal, but I'm not gonna go and Google Gaga. There's very few players that have left Benfica that have left that mark on me. At least I speak for myself, I should say. But very few that have left Benfica that have left that mark on me that I'm still constantly trying to watch them play every chance I can. Del Tarap comes to mind. No, I'm joking.
You've been following Tarap closely? You're up late watching those games?
I don't even I wouldn't even know where to watch it. I'm pretty sure one of the 58 BN Sports will broadcast it. I'm sure which
25 being sports.
Yeah, one of those.
So anyway, so with the game wrapped up, title wrapped up, we'll speak more about the title next show when we talk about when we do our segment sell, keep, loan.
Before you go ahead, Alfredo, go ahead. You're asking all these pertinent questions, and there's one that I found it interesting. I found the substitution of Samu coming in to get his name on obviously in order to get a medal, you have to have played a minute in league competition. And the reason why I asked that is because if you recall a few years ago, Paulo Santos couldn't get in, remember? I don't know if it was
Paulo,
yeah, one of them. I forget
that's who he reminded me of with that substitution.
Yeah, Rui Vitoria maybe. One of them didn't get the guy in the last minute. And so I remember there was a lot of...
I think it was either Rui Vitoria or Elijah, if I remember.
I think it was Vitoria. And he didn't come in, and so there's a lot of talk. So that's why I asked about this one now. I wanted to get your thoughts.
Oh no, I thought it was a nice gesture, and I think that if the game allows it, why not? Why not? So I thought it was a good gesture. Is it something that a coach should be obligated to do? Absolutely not. But I thought it was a really nice gesture on his part in recognizing the goalie who's been number 2, who has not played a game, not even a cup game he has played. And Flaco Dimas has played every single game.
Is it a sign of recognition that you're number 2, or is it a pat on the back that we count on you for the future? Because there's a lot of speculation. I've heard a lot of people
both.
Tell me that they expect Sandro to be the starting goalkeeper of Benfica here, rather sooner rather than later. And so I'm asking, is it kind of like one of those pats on the back, a vote of confidence? Like, look, you matter to us so much. We're gonna try to give you as much as we can. Obviously, gonna get you to a lot of games this year, but make sure we get you on the roster sheet, game sheet, or whatever it is for you to get your medal. I think I don't know. I think it was somewhere along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you look at that core 18, 19 guys that it's the 11 starters plus the bench guys, he's always there.
Skiro boy is saying, not really, Cristiano. André Gomes received the medal and he didn't play a minute. Look, I saw that too, but
no, but it's medal. Everybody gets medal.
Yeah, but getting the medal, they might get. But in terms of being on
your name
and your name and and getting the credit for winning it, I think you have to play in a match. Mm-hmm. You have to get it. You can't just be sitting on the bench all along and then your name's going to be on the sheet. I don't think that's the case. I know he got a medal.
They all get medals.
Yeah, they all
get medals. But in terms of the official
getting the recognition
roster,
Yes.
It's the guys that played it. Anyway, you got anything else before we move on to our next segment?
Já não te interrompo, mas vai lá. Avança.
Would you guys?
All right.
Well, you guys didn't watch the celebrations. What you guys think of, or did you guys see any highlights of Neres in prime form? Or I've seen a couple of Freddies in the chat saying he won the Xavi Garcia award for his antics, or I don't even want to call it antics. I was fine with it, but
look, I think that there's something about Brazilian culture. They're very relaxed. They're very free. They're very carefree, and I think that Neres kind of embodies that. When he was at the town hall or the Câmara, when he went to go and lift the trophy, and he was like, "Oh," and people were waiting, and then he faked them out a couple times. That's just Neres being.
I don't think Dave was referring to that. I think Dave was referring to him tagging other athletes.
Yeah,
I don't care about that.
I think that's what he's talking about.
Compared to what they do to us.
Well, they're complaining. They're pressing charges. Apparently,
of course, they're pressing charges for what?
Because other players got suspended last year for
but I mean, we're talking about.
They got suspended for the Supertaça, so they're going to try to get David Neres suspended for the Supertaça as well. If he's still here.
I mean, we're talking about SLB Filho de Puta chants.
Yeah, they're insulting a group. I don't think they insulted anybody.
I mean, this is if this is not the I him and haw about this, because one, I want to take the be the bigger man and not even feed into those antics. But when you've come off this season and you just become champions, if you're not going to puff out your chest and celebrate, like, when are you going to do it? So I'm fine with what he did.
Yeah, I'm good too. I mean, it was innocent. Chora Bebe, I think that was that the harshest? Chora Bebe? Or were there anything else? I wasn't following the thread. But I think Chora Bebe was
that was one, and they were just tagging Otavio and
he
Pot
did
from
Otavio
Sporting too.
and Pot. Yeah, he did a couple of times. He actually, the first time he tagged Otavio was the wrong Otavio, and then somebody in the thread
you're right.
Had to retag, and he was like, "Bem pra festa, bebê," something like that, something along those lines.
Yeah. So
look,
I think it's all in good fun.
It cries pettiness to a certain extent, but at the same time, I mean, if you look at this from their lenses, obviously you're not going to like it, but if you look at it from just an outsider, it looks like fun and games. I don't think he was disrespectful to anybody. Okay, he didn't insult anybody.
Yeah,
tagged a couple players and said "Bem pra festa, chora bebê." Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Unlike the other people who constantly come out there and majority of their celebrations is, you know, Filhos da Puta SLB, yada yada yada, and it's like you're insulting clubs, you're insulting people. I don't think there was any of that. But again, I'm Benfiquista, and I'm going to be accused of being just that, being biased because I'm a Benfiquista. But I'm just giving you my honest thought. I don't think he offended anybody. I think it wasn't
insulting. It wasn't insulting at all, as opposed to what we see.
Maybe these guys are more friendly with each other than you and I think, and they were just messing around with one another for all.
Probably. They had dinner together the following night.
Oh, Hugo Ferreira saying he said "chupa lagartos." Okay.
Chupa tripeiros.
I missed that part.
All right. Next feature here for us, the season awards that we do at the end of the season, when we award players for the flop, the revelation player, the defensive player, the midfielder, the attacking player, and the MVP. So I guess I could go first, right? I'll go first with the flop, and to me, the flop is going to be Draxler, just because I think that there was a lot of anticipation that we put upon Draxler. Everyone felt that despite coming out of injury, Draxler would be a good addition to this squad as he got better and as he got into game rhythm. But as it turns out, he ended up not to be what we expected, and then the injury at the end of the season. But to me, he's the flop of the season. What about you, Cristiano?
Who's your flop of the season?
Draxler.
That's unfair, bro. That's unfair because that's so easy. It's so unfair. Like, we should pick another guy, but because
You could pick your guy.
no,
How
it's
about that?
him. It's him. I'm just saying. It's like that was a layup. It's easy. It's got to be him. I mean, the expectations on this guy, former World Cup winner, Paris Saint-Germain, Bayern, blah blah blah, wherever the hell he came from, Schalke, da, da, da. And then he comes in. It was just a like, yeah, it was very disappointing. I just feel like picking him is cheating because it's a handout.
It's cheating. It was too easy. It was a layup.
Yeah, I think it was, but whatever. But we're fine. But I mean, it's hard to argue against. He was probably the highest paid player on the roster. Not probably. He was the highest paid player on the roster. And even when he did play, he wasn't impressive at all. And then obviously the injuries took its toll, and he was out for the rest of the season. So yeah, I mean, huge disappointment. Yeah. So yeah, that was.
What about you?
I'm sorry.
What about you, David?
Yeah, I've also got Draxler just with the hype and flair that he came to the team with, the Roger Schmidt German connection. And I think Draxler also felt it too, because I don't know if you guys caught him in the celebration. He apologized multiple times that he didn't fulfill kind of his end of the deal, and you got to feel for the guy. And I kind of agree with Chris that it is kind of a layup and it's too easy. But when you're looking at the roster here, there wasn't really anyone else that you could pick but Draxler. So wish it would have turned out differently, and he would have played a key role in this team. But it is what it is when you're dealing with injuries.
Yeah. I think he issued a public apology also on his through his publicist, if I'm not mistaken. There was a statement. I think it was even on the PSG site. I saw something on Twitter earlier about it. So look, I think that the guy feels that he kind of shortchanges. Not that he was his fault. I don't know the circumstances behind it. Maybe he was never healthy at 100%. And then the nagging injuries also kept coming back. Schmidt is a guy whose team needs to be intense, and I think that maybe Draxler didn't have that intensity. So I think it's fair that he gets the flop, at least for me. I know Cristiano was saying that it's an easy layup.
Hugo mentions.
Who would you give it to?
Hugo, I already told you, Draxler. Hugo mentioned on the chat here that João Vitor, which is a great shout. Manny Valadon says Enzo is a flop in my book, laughing my ass off. Out loud, I mean not off. Nick Valadon says smaller flop is probably Morato. Couldn't disagree more. But yeah,
you can make the case for Gilberto. I mean, he started off in that position as the starting left back or right back, and we finished the season with a midfielder in that position, even when Bog gets injured. So you could make the case for Gilberto.
Maybe I should have been paying attention. Maybe I should have been paying attention, because when I'm thinking of flops, I'm thinking of newcomers. So we're just talking about in general, right? Players at the club in general. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Still
Draxler. Still Draxler. It doesn't matter. Still Draxler. All right. Because
revelation.
It's because of the expectation, the amount of expectations, the excitement level. I don't think we signed a player in a while that we've had this much expectation on. So
yeah, absolutely. Next up, revelation player. So this is the player that comes out of nowhere and surprises us, and for me, I have to give this to Antonio Silva. And looking at what Antonio Silva's been on the team, he's almost become a staple. That when I look back at Antonio Silva, and I think Antonio Silva, revelation is probably not something that comes to mind right away, just because he's been there all along. But really, he was a guy that came in, cemented his spot. He wasn't even one of the highest rated backups for Benfica. I think the Araújo kid was higher rated than him, but he came in and he was able to to get the job done. I think he surprised every Benfiquista and every fan with his skill, and also with his Benfiquismo. I mean, who could forget the time that he when we were playing Juventus, he went up to, was it Bonucci, and he put a finger in his face. Yeah. Who is it for you, Chris?
I mean, there's a few options, but I think the easiest one, obviously, because as you stated before, he was there from day one, a guy that not many of us knew anything about coming into preseason, and he just won everyone over. So I'd have to go with Antonio Silva as well. But there's a couple other guys, the kid Jon Snow, real late, but my man came out of the woodwork. Another guy that we didn't expect much out of, and you could tell this guy's a player. He's another one with Benfica, another guy that we could count on, at least for the next couple of seasons, if not more. But yeah, I think Antonio Silva, hands down, easily wins it.
What about you, Dave?
It's going to be a clean sweep. Only reason why I didn't give it to João Neves was because of the length of time that Antonio Silva has been doing this game in, game out. Not to say that he was 100% perfect the whole season. He had his hiccups from here and there, but you got to think back to when he was first called upon. Everybody was injured. Hell, we were even signing John Brooks at the end of the season just to make numbers in that position. But ever since that late August appearance, debut for Antonio Silva, he just grabbed the bull by the horns and he's cemented that position there for himself. So he's my revelation, and I hope he stays here at least another year, if not two.
But Dave, Brooks only came in after Morato got injured.
Yes,
yeah, before the window closed.
Like a couple of days
because Vertonghen was gone,
Yes.
João Vitor was injured, Morato was injured. So, but that's what it only left Antonio Silva and Otamendi there, and I'm pretty sure Otamendi picked up a suspension for one of those games too. So we were real thin at that position, but gotta give credit to Antonio Silva. He grabbed the bull by the horns and never looked back after that.
Yeah, no, I thought he's been excellent. And he has. I'm glad he's had some mistakes. Well, not glad for Benfica, but I'm glad because I think those mistakes keep him grounded. I think those mistakes keep him working hard, keep his head the right size. So it was natural to see him make some of those mistakes. Obviously, the one against Sporting was one that cost us, a goal, but nonetheless, I thought he was excellent, especially playing in the Champions League. For an 18-year-old kid, I thought that was great on his part. Defensive player for me, this one is an easy one.
Alfredo, you gotta learn how to do these games. You gotta rotate. Can't just you go first all day.
Well, he's also got to.
I run this fucking podcast. I can do anything I want.
Because then you could influence our opinion.
Oh, I can.
Mine's
all
written
right.
down. Mine's written down. I'm not changing.
Well, that's why I didn't. I was gonna ask you guys for the votes so I could set up the graphics, but then I was like, nah. Then Cristiano's gonna just copy my shit.
Oh yeah. Well, then now,
look, I think that when you look at this, I mean, I think all of these are easy layups. There might be one or two that we differ. But for you, Cristiano, who is your
Capitan Otamendi has to be him. I mean, the dude came in a couple of seasons ago with so much criticism on his shoulders, and he's lived up to the hype. He is the leader in the locker room, guy that's put this team on his back. They have some games where he wasn't his best. Nonetheless, I thought he was still Mr. Solid back there, our number one leader. And for he deserves all the credit.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think I could add any more to that. What about you, Dave?
Alfredo, I'm gonna make you work, and I hope that you got this guy ready on standby for your graphic. Here, I'm gonna go off the board, and for all the flack I just gave this guy about 10-15 minutes ago, I'll give to Grimaldo. This is his going away present, is my best defensive player. Was he best defensively?
Defensive,
Hell
though,
no.
Dave.
Hell
Defensive.
no. Hell no, but at that position, as a defensive player in that position, he was, I'll give him, it just based on his left back position, and if we're going left back, center back, right back, what he contributed offensively, he'll get my award here. He did defend. I'm not gonna dispute that. You and me already got flack from Hugo in the chat saying we didn't respect this guy who's won 4 or 5 titles. Here, this is my going away present for Grimaldo. He's getting the best defensive player of the year award from me.
No, I think that he's up there in terms of the effort and the season that he had. He's definitely had a career season. I think that if he stays, maybe it's a different argument. But I think it's hard to argue against Otamendi in terms of what he represents for the team, in terms of the effort that he puts in terms of the guidance and the coaching that he was able to give Antonio Silva. I think that some of those things are not tangible things that you can measure. And I thought he did excellent. I thought he did excellent also. Too bad that he decided to go elsewhere. But as Cristiano mentioned, nobody wants to go play at Paços Ferreira and Gil Vicente in front of 5,000 people when you could play in the Bundesliga where it's always packed stadiums. So go figure. All right, Cristiano, this time I'm gonna go with you. Midfielder for you.
Midfielder, not a winger. A midfielder, right?
You could do a winger too.
I mean, because he was almost consistent player throughout the season, but they were playing him out of position.
You could do a winger.
That's Auschnitz, Frederick Auschnitz. Even though he played him out of position the whole time, but I guess he's our most consistent, quote unquote, midfielder. Because I just can't pick Shadon. I can't pick Enzo. Wasn't there long enough, and obviously same thing with Tino. So therefore, and Jon Snow didn't play enough. So therefore, by default, I'm gonna go with Auschwitz.
Dave,
it's got to be Auschwitz, Mr. Versatility, and like Chris is saying, we played him on the wing. The guys that it was brought in as a central midfielder. We play him at right back. Hell, I'm sure he could have played at left back too if we really needed him to. So Freddie's got my vote here for midfielder of the year.
Yeah, for me is Auschwitz. For all the things that you guys have said, he was everywhere.
I don't like him at wing though. Gotta say, do not like him at wing, Alfredo.
But it's not really a winger. He's more of an interior guy. He drops into the middle. But I thought he was extremely important in us able to get the tie at Alvalade. Yeah. So, Dave.
Põe lá a fotografia, pá. Põe lá a fotografia.
Ainda não tá? Ok, vai lá então. Dave, go with you this time. Attacking player.
Attacking player, it's got to be Gonzalo Ramos. Didn't like the way he finished the season, but man was unstoppable to start the season, and middle of the season was on a different form and pace for goals output, and could have made the case, I guess, for Rafa, and I'm not even going to mention the other guy's name because he's not worth it, but I give it to Gonzalo Ramos to finish off the season. Not how I liked his form at the end of the season, but there really wasn't anybody else when you think of it.
Yeah, he's my attacking player of the year also. Ramos. What about you, Chris?
What about me? I mean, you guys are putting me between a wall and a hard place. I mean, because
dude, you're never happy. First is because you didn't go first. Now it's because you're going last. I don't understand.
Who's saying anything about the order in which we're saying who are attacking players. I'm saying you're putting me between a wall and a hard place because I wasn't a fan of Ramos. I wasn't a fan of João Mario, the other guy. I could ask Rafa is non-existent for majority of the season, even though he's tremendous when he's on form. David Neres is a player I appreciate and I love to watch those types of players. But down the stretch, or I should say in the second half of the season, this dude was deciding to leave him on the bench to play Chiquinho. So he kind of gets knocked down. So it's going to be between two guys, and it's two players I have to choose from that I'm not exactly the biggest fan. That's why I'm saying you're leaving me between a wall and a hard place. And I think the same could be said for both players, as Dave said about Gonçalo Ramos, that, the end of the season was not what we wanted to see from him. And I think it goes hand in hand with João Mario. I think João Mario had a tremendous season up until the last month and a half, when everybody at the club dropped their form. Those two guys were the most glaring ones to pop up because of all of a sudden when they're not scoring, they just weren't anywhere near those influential players that at one point of the season were. So I got to do between one of the two, Alfredo, which is a decision I do not want to make. Because I think everybody else was
the Freddies are saying to give it to Musa. Or do you want to give him your Chicken Fingers award?
The Chicken Fingers is a special award. I'm gonna give it later on. But right now, I mean, look, I guess because I'm gonna give it to João Mario. How's that? Just to be different. Only because João Mario scored more goals this season than he scored in the last 10 combined. So therefore, that goes to show you it was a tremendous season by him. So João Mario.
I like the fact that you justified it like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, coming to the season, who'd you have more expectation on scoring more goals? João Mario or Gonçalo Ramos? And when I say you, I'm not talking about you, Alfredo, Dave, but in
Gonçalo Ramos.
Exactly. And so, what João Mario finished third in the league in goals? Right?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah,
right
up
there
behind.
Yeah. I mean, if I told you back in July that he was going to do that, you guys would have called me crazy. And you guys are bigger fans of his than I am. And you still would have.
I know you're not a big João Mario fan, that's for sure.
Right? You guys would have still called me crazy. So for that, he finished with two less days, 17 and 19, right? Two less than. You know what? I'll just give it to João Mario so I can be a little bit different. I can't believe I'm actually doing this. Hey, you know what?
I know. You, out of everyone, you're probably the guy that dislikes João Mario out of all the people, all the Benfiquistas that I know.
It's not about disliking him, but just I think people give him too much value. And then when I see him playing on a wing, I want to cry because there's nothing in his game that tells me he's a winger. I want to cry. And so due to the fact that he
wants to cry.
I do. It's an emotional podcast today. But yeah, I mean, look, credit to him. He did what he had to do. He scored some crucial goals. Converted to about 66% of his penalties because down the line there, down the stretch, my man started choking on him. But hey, again, the guy had a season that no one saw coming. None of them. And so for that reason alone, I'll give it to him. The other guy is a striker. He's going to score more goals. So for that reason alone, I'm going to give it to João Mario. I can't believe I'm saying this. But yeah, credit to João Mario. And, let's see him repeat it next year. But I hope Benfica does sign some real wingers this time, though. So.
Yeah. Who wants to go first on the MVP?
The MVP.
I could go first if you don't object, Chris.
I don't object. It's your turn because I went first. Now, Dave, how about you? Yeah, that's the order. This natural order of things, Alfredo.
Okay. My MVP is Auschwitz. I just thought that, for the amount of roles that he played all season, kept injury-free, only missed a game because of yellow card accumulation, was really good. Right back, he held his own. I thought that when he plays in the midfield, he appears in the final third quite a bit, which is something that we want because we want players in the final third. We want numbers in the final third. I just thought he was excellent. I thought he was excellent, and I thought that after Enzo leaving, I thought he was the one guy that was consistent throughout in terms of his performances, in terms of helping the team, in terms of all the little things that he and the big things that he did for the team, and for me, he's my MVP. Who wants to go next? Is that you, Dave, or Chris?
I can go. Mine is gonna match up to yours there, Alfredo. I've also got Arshness, just based on what he did for this this club and where he managed to fit in and play in roles that I'm sure if you really followed his career before coming to Benfica, you could see that he played in these positions. But when we signed him, he was supposed to be a guy in the center of the mid here, and if I'm not mistaken, he was signed to already be Enzo's replacement with an eye for next season. But God, we put him on the wing, at left, right back, in the center. So you got to give it up to Arshness. Man was Mr. Versatility all season, and I don't think Benfica are champions without him, because he just plugged up so many different holes. Who knows who would have been able to, and who we would have seen in those other positions if it wasn't for his versatility. So I got to give it to Frederick.
Jeez, bro, I hear you guys talking about Arsenal, and for a second I thought you guys were talking about Andre Almeida. Jesus Christ, good luck.
Well, that's what it is. It's like usually when we're talking about versatility, it's somebody that can do all the roles but doesn't do them well. But Arshness, I mean, he's does them well, and like you would never know that. Okay, right back a little bit. I don't want him playing there full time. He got us burned against Inter a couple of times, but everywhere else he did the job adequate, and if not better than adequate. He was fine, and really shored up some of those holes when we really needed him to. So he's give him the Andre Almeida award too. But this team, I don't think is champions without him.
I was joking about that, by the way. But
Chris, who's your MVP?
I'm gonna go off the rails a bit. I'm gonna give you a first half MVP and a second half MVP. Is that fair or no? Could I cheat?
No, only one counts.
Start shrinking the images to fit on the screen there, Alfredo.
Well, my first half MVP was Enzo, hands down. Enzo made this well-oiled machine tick and go, unlike we've seen Benfica club in a few years. But I guess, I mean, look, it's gonna be Arsenal. No, Arsenal, but look, I like the player a lot, but I guess, we've seen a bunch of players win some of these awards by default, and he's, I guess, the most consistent one throughout the year. So it's not that I'm not happy with the player. I am extremely happy with the player. I just don't think he's, at least under the Roger Schmidt system, Roger Schmidt's found the right way to play him to get the most out of him. I think playing him at right back is a disservice. Playing him on a wing, it's a disservice. He's probably more suited to play in the middle, but under this Roger Schmidt system with two guys in the middle, maybe he doesn't have the quality with his feet to do so. Roger wants a guy spread the ball around and yada yada yada, and another guy who's just a tractor, recovering balls and breaking down plays. But I guess I have to be fair and stay consistent here. He's I guess from game 1 to game 34, he'd probably get that award. So yeah, I'll stick with him. Most consistent play. MVP.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was a couple of plays there, and I'm trying to think back in the second half, if I'm not mistaken, on that Santa Clara game. He was playing behind Grimaldo, and Grimaldo was more pushing up on that left side there. So we might have our new left back for next season in Arshness.
That's by design, Dave. I'd like to think that's by design. Obviously, who's a better attacking player, Grimaldo or him?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So you use Grimaldo more as at the attack, but maybe we start seeing him as a left back next season. Guy can do anything. It looks like on the wings and in the center of the mid. So we don't. Maybe the team doesn't invest in a left back and swings him over there too.
I'd rather not see him play defense, to be honest with you. I think that his flexibility allows him to play a lot of positions in the midfield, and I think that's what Schmidt likes in him and why he's such a huge asset for this Benfica team. But I rather not see him play in the defense, to be honest with you. Just looking over here at the chat, Scarrow Boy agrees with us. Draxler, Josh Pereira, Draxler, DJ Natural Fire, same thing. Nick Villadone, Draxler by far biggest flop. Timo, definitely Draxler. Hugo Ferreira says João Vitor for me. I guess when you look at both of them and the reason why I used Draxler as a flop was because of the high expectations. We also had high expectations from João Vitor, but starting with the fact that he got injured playing the Libertadores and was never really at 100% even to challenge for a position. I don't think it's I guess you could say he's a flop considered the expectations that we had from him. But the fact he got injured at the Libertadores, I thought that was a bad omen.
That's why I think our expectations were lower because we really didn't expect much because he came in injured.
Yeah, from Draxler, I thought the expectation comes attached to the name. I think Manny Villadone, Enzo a flop in my book. Smaller flop according to Nick Villadone, probably Morato. Yeah, but it was. I thought it was hard for Morato to be able to fight for a starting spot because those other two were playing so well. And I think for a center back, the more rhythm, the more repetitions you get, the better off you are, and the better you could play. And I didn't think that Morato had enough runs of games in order to be a guy. But Chris really likes Morato. Chico Marcelino is saying Morato did a great first half in the championship. Yeah, until he got hurt. Yeah. Scarrow Boy revelation Antonio Silva. Silva for revelation for Manny Villadone. Josh Pereira, Antonio Silva. Nick Villadone revelation for Tony Silva. Josh Pereira, 100%. Nick Villadone, another layup. Timo, Tony das Babes. Yeah, Tony Silva's a slam dunk for Hugo Ferreira. Yeah. Revelation of the season for Justin Aragon, Antonio Silva, but honorable mention to João Neves for his performances in the last month or two. Yeah, I agree with that. Peter Cruz, welcome. Ramos also. Chico Marcelino, Ramos. Chico Marcelino, you thought Ramos was a revelation for you? I thought we already knew what Ramos was going to bring. I don't think we thought that he was going to be top of the league in his goal output, but towards the end of the season, he really sunk down. Let's see. Who else we got here? Defensive Otamendi, Argento for Scarrow Boy. I think everybody's on board with that. Josh Pereira, Hugo Ferreira, Nuno M. All on board with Otamendi. Nick Villadone, I want to say Bob, but technically it's more of his offensive support. But pure defense, it's Otamendi, says Nick Villadone. Hugo Ferreira, Genova. I get it, Dave and I were talking about this, and since Hugo mentioned Otamendi, and I was saying to Dave how if Otamendi signs with us, right, he will be probably number one, top three best paid players at Benfica, right? I think it's a fair assessment. He's probably already there. Would you guys give up Otamendi if some of that salary went to a guy in his prime, 25, 27, that could come into this team and make a difference right away and not necessarily a center back? Cristiano, what do you think?
We have this conversation, man. You recall? We had this conversation, I think, like
probably
December, January, when we started talking
December, that was a while ago. I don't remember that far.
But we did. We had a conversation with the emergence of Antonio Silva, and at the time we still had João Vitor on the roster. Should we re-sign Otamendi? And look, he's been our leader. He's a warrior. He's a guy I think at this point we'd all love to to have back at the club. But you have to ask yourself, does it make sense? Talking about a 30, what is he going to be, 34, 35, whatever he is, 35-year-old center back. You do have options on the team that could come in and play. Obviously, it's not a position of weakness on this roster. We do have other very good players that can carry the torch. The only question that I have, if that, obviously it looks like the writing's on the wall that Otamendi's not coming back. And the one question I have with all this is, once it is official that he's leaving, he doesn't come back, who's going to fill those leadership shoes? I think it's a huge question mark. We have guys on this roster with leadership quality, right? You look at Romario, the guy who's worn the captain's armband, multiple clubs. You look at Antonio Silva, a youngster who wears his emotions on his sleeve. Grimaldo's out, guy had been at the club for a long time. Maybe Lacodimos, but I know some clubs don't like to have goalies as captains. I mean, there's not very many options. Rafa is not captain material. You know what I'm saying? It's not very many options. So it's a
What about Auschwitz, despite his short tenure at the club? I mean, that doesn't really make a difference because Otamendi was captain the first year he joined the club, this first season.
But Otamendi is a natural-born leader. Otamendi is the guy that's going to get in your face. I'm not sure if Auschwitz will do that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying I'm not sure. I've not really seen it. But yeah, to answer your question more directly, yeah, and I mean, at this point, if you tell me Benfica's able to go get a player 26, 27, making relatively the same salary that an Otamendi's making, a guy that's going to have 3, 4, 5 years ahead on this roster, I'd rather do that. As much as I would miss Otamendi, I would just rather turn the page because, again, you have Morato, you have Antonio Silva for the time being, you have Mourinho, what's his name?
Mauricio.
For the time being, you have João Vitor, who's coming back from loan. You have the kid Araújo that apparently played really well on loan in the Portuguese First Division. I do believe Benfica will probably still go out and get another center back from the outside, but they have plenty of options. So if you tell me you spent some of his salary or majority of his salary on a bona fide goal scorer, andiamo, because that's how you win games. That's how you win titles, by scoring goal.
Yeah. Timo was saying Benfica gave up 20 goals during the season. Grimaldo was part of that defense. Can't say Grim was shit. No one was, except for Audi. Lacodimos. Nuke Fred says Nico Otamendi is a heart and soul player, a warrior, a leader. We will regret his departure if he does not renew.
You bought an Otamendi shirt. Now you can't wear
it. Nice. Midfielder, I think everybody agrees. Auschwitz for best midfielder. Nuno M has Auschwitz as the MVP as well. Josh Pereira says Auschwitz, but I would also say Enzo when he was there. And like Cristiano, like you said, if you split the season in two, there's a during Enzo and after Enzo. What else? Then the attacking player, Nuno M says Ramos, Josh Pereira Ramos, Hugo Ferreira Gonçalo Ramos, Scaro Boy Ramos. Scaro Boy Neres had a great season too. Yeah, he did. I just thought that he was a bit inconsistent, at times during the season. He was much better than the rest of the group. Towards the final stretch, I thought that Ramos was horrendous in the past couple months. He hasn't been all that great. But who else is on here? Timo saying give it to Musa. Chris, you already read that one. Justin Aragon saying Musa needs some respect. Dude came off the bench and put in the work. Yeah. Hugo saying if não é brasileiro, o Chris não gosta. Let's see who else. I think MVP. Everybody's saying that Auschwitz is MVP. Nothing new. Nothing earth-shattering. Cristiano just deferred a little bit from us because he wanted to offer a different perspective. I don't know how he. Out of everyone, you picked João Mario. But I understand the reason why you picked him. For attacking, yeah. But I understand the reason, and it's a good reason, right? The fact that he had the goal output in the season that he had, you know, he gave him an attacking award. I get that. What else, guys? What else we got? Are we good? All right.
I think keep people on their toes for the much anticipated keep, sell, loan for next.
Yeah, keep, sell, loan next week.
So, Freddie's, you got some time and some homework to do. Let's see how your list compared to ours next week here. But I think we can all agree we're not going to be selling a majority of the team like we have been the last couple of years.
No, that's for sure. It's going to be really hard. Actually,
yeah. There's going to be some. Yeah. There's going to be some sells and there's going to be some loans. But God, I think there was last season where
10 players. We were left with 10 players that we were going to keep.
If that, I think 10 was being generous. Where we were just trying to keep a core group of guys. I think you could count on one hand how many guys we really wanted to keep from previous seasons. But I think we're going to be a little bit more generous this year and try to build out a solid team and keep a lot of these players around.
Chris, Chico Marcelino wants to know if you would keep Ramos or Tony das Babes.
You just spent 3.5 minutes talking about buy, keep, sell for next week, and then you're cheating the listeners.
Chico Marcelino is asking. If you had to choose between one of the two, who would you choose? Pronto, está feito.
Who would I choose? I mean, it gives away what I'm thinking next week.
There you go.
So it's going to build up the excitement, build up, the tension. Chico, para a semana falaremos, mas eu por agora ficava com o António.
Yeah.
Só por agora.
Yeah, I would too. I'm ready to lose Gonçalo Ramos, provided we could bring in a nice forward. And he's going to be the more appealing one, or the guy with more market is going to be Ramos. So we'll see. Yeah, I read the Di Maria rumor from Fabrizio.
What rumor, man? Like, Hugo's been bothering. What? The guy's Benfica's interested. No shit. Wow. Okay, good. Wow. Breaking news. Yo, you know what else? I'm interested in breathing later today. I'm interested in breathing tomorrow and the day after and the day after that. I mean, what in that tweet gives you any indication that this is going anywhere? Because the guy's got it. My man threw a dart in the dark, and he's hoping.
If Fabrizio's reporting it, it must be true.
But what? Read that tweet. Read his tweet, and let me know what in that tweet indicates that this is nothing else than a shot in the dark. Dave, you want to read it?
No, I'll bring it up. Yeah, we know that we can only trust Fabrizio with Chelsea.
Read it.
He doesn't have anything else to say. Here, I got it up here. Understand, Benfica will try to attempt Angel Di Maria in the next weeks to rejoin the club as a free agent. Talks have not started yet, and it is not the only option for Di Maria, but Benfica want to try. Saudi clubs also keen on Angel, but his priority is Europe.
So what he's telling you is, if he signs with Benfica, I told you so. If he goes to Arabia's, I told you it wasn't just Benfica. I mean, what's he telling you guys? Read between the lines. He's giving you jack shit. He's telling you potentially. Well, he could potentially go over Benfica. I'm surprised he didn't play. He could potentially retire, because he could potentially retire. Why not? I mean, like, what did he tell you in that tweet that gives you any belief that this is a done deal? He's covered at Benfica. Go ahead. I mean,
sounds like somebody I know that guaranteed somebody, and then the player didn't come, and then he got assaulted on Twitter.
Hey, man. I had assurances. From a person who is very, 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 when I say very, I don't think it even get even more very high at Benfica. You understand? It ain't my fault. I was giving the information out, but at least there, I was giving you concrete. I was telling you, signing. This guy is not, he could go to his Arabias. He's leaving himself the wiggle room. So
yeah, well, that's what Fabrizio is saying, and Hugo is echoing that. He's saying that Benfica is interested.
No shit.
So that's good enough for me. Benfica is interested. Let's go get him.
We're only an hour in, and now Chris decides to
vamos embora.
show some emotion.
Chris just woke up. It's time to go.
Dave, I hate BS, Dave. I hate BS.
Well, guess what? Be prepared. It's the BS silly season now for the transfer
rumors. It's the BS season, yeah. Go to sleep and wake up in a couple months from now, Chris. You'll be good. All right, everybody.
Oh, so
next week,
I'm not here for next week? You're telling me to go sleep for a couple of months, so I'm off next week?
No, I'm saying, the silly season, you don't like bullshit. You don't like bullshit, but, you're kind of part of that bullshit of guys gaslighting people on Twitter.
But dude, again, I had concrete information. I was telling you what's happening.
That's what you say. That's what you say.
I was telling you what's happening. That's what I say.
Fabrizio's got concrete information. He spoke to Rui Costa's
what information
girlfriend.
That no negotiate. Benfica is interested. So are a lot of other clubs. Well,
the Red Bull, Timo, the Red Bulls are interested. I don't believe the Red Bulls. That doesn't fit their profile. The Red Bulls.
I think he's just pulling your leg there.
Dave, a professional soccer club is interested in a professional soccer player. Shattering news. Shattering.
It's the guys just stuck.
I think we got a new segment.
Let's get out of here.
Where I read Fabrizio's tweets and get Chris's reaction. And go from there.
Yeah. Hey, that might not be a bad call. I like that.
No, just be related. Just be the rest. I don't really want to get into.
All right, guys. Next week we'll be back with our famous keep, sell, loan segment. It will be a whole hour dedicated just to that. I hope you guys come and join us on Tuesday, 3:30, 9:30. 3:30 somewhere else. I don't know.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button now. It's too late. Take care, everyone. See you next week. Campeões, nós somos campeões. Take care, everyone.